We're reading in the book of Leviticus called Vayyiqra. If anyone needs to know how to annotate and draw on the screen or to raise hand so that you can read, this is where you can find it. Who would like to get started reading? Eileen, please go ahead.
Va, va, y, go, re, a,
This right here is Ra. Ra. So
ra,
Vayyiqra. Vayyiqra.
Vayyiqra,
That's it.
al,
It's got a segol, which is an sound, so it's el.
el, Moshe,
Vayikra el Moshe, and that's your
Vai,
halfway point right there. 3 words into the verse, and it's already
Vayyiqra,
halfway.
el, Moshe,
hmm
Vai, de bear,
Yeah,
de
Vaidaber.
bear,
Right, Vaidaber,
de bear,
the Lord's name.
Adonai, uh, al, al, Yibe,
Unfortunately, we don't pronounce the yod anymore here. Whenever you see yod vav at the end of the word, don't pronounce the yod. And then these 2 dots here, whenever you wonder what sound they make, you have your answer. A love.
Elav,
hmm There's another one.
n- n- uh,
So mem is right there and the a vowel's there. So put it together. May.
me, a,
Wait, is that a dot over the text? So make an O sound.
me, or,
May o. And
or,
then the last one.
ha,
And without sounding like a bad word in English, this last syllable is hel.
hel,
Me o hel. Me o hel.
mejol, mejol, el,
Not quite. Me o hel. Me o hel.
me, o, el,
Ohel is a tent. Me means from. All right, last 2 words.
mm, mi, va,
Wait. We just saw this over the word vowel. So make a no sound.
me, o,
It's just mo. The vowel itself is that O sound. So mo is the first
mo,
syllable.
me, mo, i,
Those 2 dots, what sound do they make?
i,
So what do you do with the ayin? Well, most people just treat it like an aleph, like it's a glottal stop or silent. So it's mo ed.
ed, mo,
hmm
ed,
hmm
mm, l- le, le, me, o,
More, more.
more,
Yeah, lay more.
more, lay more,
That's it. Very good. I'll read through one time, then we'll spot things to talk about here. Vayikra. For some people, it might help if I divide this into syllables as I go. So let me go ahead and get the highlighter on. Vayikra el Moshe Vaydaber Adonai. However, that's split up. Actually, we're not going to split up God's name, right? God's name is one. Elav me'ohel, with the stress right there because that's your cancellation mark. Me'ohel moed lemor. Any comments or questions about the pronunciation itself? All right, so let's talk about some things that we see here. Let's start off a little easy. What do these two things have in common? They're both a
They're
vav.
Vayyiqras.
They're both a
Right.
Vav.
They're both a vav, but they're also both Vayyiqtols. Great. What is a Vayyiqtol? What does it mean, Vayyiqtol?
The comes in a narrative,
Right.
And
It's
narrative and
past tense.
right. So it's
past
treated
tense.
like a past tense, but not just any past tense, a narrative,
Narrative.
which is to
Past
say
tense.
what happens next in the story. It means we're reading a story and that particular verb tells us what happens next. So you can call it he did, you can call it and he did, you can call it and then he did, or so he did, whatever sounds like a good transition into the next part of the story. All right. And what do these two yods have in common besides the fact that they're both yods? Also, easy question.
Masculine.
It's more than just masculine. Yes. What else is it?
Vayyiqra.
Right. Okay. So a yiktol prefix. So we've got basically two ways of making verbs in Hebrew. Those that have prefixes and some suffixes, and those which have suffixes, except for the masculine 3ms form that has none. But prefixes are usually going to be some sort of future or incompleted tense, and the suffixes will be some sort of a past tense. And then unfortunately, that vav flips it on us. So yeah, this says that he, third person, because he's not in the conversation, right? First person talks, second person listens, third person's outside of the conversation. He's masculine, he's singular, he. So this is he who is doing it. What is he doing? The last three letters tell us what he is doing. Kara means called. Vayyiqra then would be and then he called, or and he called. Who did? Well, apparently this guy right here. Vayyiqra el Moshe, and he called unto the Lord, and he spoke, that is, the Lord did, elav, probably referring back to Moshe. Me ohel, what is me?
From
From
Good. It's the compensatory lengthening form of
min.
me, right, which is the word min. So noon at the end of a syllable likes to assimilate in a strong dagesh, but if there's a guttural, that will not take the dagesh, then it turns into me instead. Oh, look, a guttural. So me ohel, from the tent of moed. A va'ad is a meeting or a team. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a better word for that, like a conference, a conference call meeting or something, a va'ad. Anyway, so a moed is the action of meeting. So the tent of meeting, coming together to meet, that's where he was. Le more, to say. Well, to say doesn't sound good, so you can see that the translator decided to use the word saying instead. Comments or questions on verse 1? Who would like to read next? Put your hand up and I'll call on you. Amanda, go ahead.
Daver el bene Yisrael be amarta ele alehim
Excellent.
adam ki yikriv
Right. Yak
mich
Riv.
yakriv mikim karban ladonai min habahema min habakar umin hatzon takrivu et ka ka karvanechem.
What's that last word? This one you read right. What's this one?
Carbon carbanechem.
All right. So
Carbon.
that's a Kamatz Katan. Did you mean to read Kamatz
Oh,
Katan over here?
No.
You didn't, but I thought you did. Okay, so it's a closed syllable and it's unstressed. So it's a short O sound, korban, and that's actually anyone who knows New Testament realizes recognizes this word. It's used in the New Testament when it's talking about nullifying the commandments of God and not being able to honor your parents. Anything that I would have given you will be considered korban. I think that's where it uses it, korban to the Lord. Korban comes from the root lehakriv, to bring near an offering. So korban, offering, this is also going to be kamatz katan in an unstressed syllable. Korbanchem.
Korban him.
Perfect. This here does have a strong dagesh, the bet, so it needs a B sound. How is it pronounced?
Daber.
Uh-huh. And then this over here has a cantillation mark on the last syllable that tells you where the stress goes. First, how do you read it? Then I'll ask you why.
Va'amarta. Va'amarta.
Very good. Ve'amarta. Usually, when we have a ta on the end, the stress goes here. Anybody know why it's moved?
Fossil.
Good guess.
Okay.
Not correct. There's your pausal right there. And
Go ahead.
what's this right here? A plain old vav or a special vav?
With a schwa?
It has a shva, but what's its purpose? To simply tell us and, or is it doing something else? Well, the fact that the accent moved over here tells us that this is a vekatal instead of a katal that has a vav and in front of it. It could be either one, right? Except in second masculine singular, which this is, or first common singular. Either I did it or you, a man, did it. Those are the two forms where the accent will shift in the vekatal. It's one way to recognize it, to be able to spot it without having to consider the context. So instead of and you said, it'll be vekatal, which flips the tense, and you will say. And what else? All right, this is an easy one. What is that?
From.
We just saw
Min.
preceding
Min.
slide. Min, exactly. It's min, it's from, and the noon of the word min has assimilated. Why did the scribes put a patach under this lamed? It's a little bit harder question. How are we supposed to read God's name according to the Masoretic scribes? As Adonai. Can you have a lamed with a shva in front of Adonai?
No.
Can't have-
Because that is to a Adonai, not to the Adonai. Is that right?
It's okay. I understand where you're coming from, and I like that that has to do with the definite article being built in to the inseparable preposition. Do we have an example of that in this verse? No. So that's not cool. Like, for example, ha behema. If I wanted to say to the animal, it would be la behema, and that patach tells me it's definite. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. All right. So this is a different issue. So the Lord is already definite. We don't need to put ha in front of it, just as we wouldn't say the Amanda. Amanda's already definite. So rather, something else is happening here. Can we have two shvas, or rather two reduced vowels in a row in Hebrew at the beginning of a word?
No.
That's the problem. So if instead of me saying la like that, this shva is going to turn into a full vowel. Great. Well, which one? It's going to mirror this one and become a patach. That's why we get a patach here. It's reminding the reader to read God's name as La Donai. Next up, min ha-behema, min ha-bakar, or min ha-tzon. Takrivu. Who's the built-in subject of takrivu?
You,
You who?
you, him, you, masculine.
You masculine, singular or plural? If it was just a tav at the front, that would be singular. But with the oo at the end, it makes it plural. So it's you
Plural.
all. It's going to be you all plural. And if anybody knows the answer, go ahead. What binyan, which of the 7 binyanim is this verb? Does it belong to?
You feel
Hif'il.
You.
What does hif'il tell us?
causing.
Causing,
Yeah.
causing, causative. All right, so what's the root?
A roof.
Fresh. Bet.
Kufresh bet. We know this in the regular plain easy kal binyan or pal binyan as karev, which means he was close.
Mhm.
So if he feel is causative and karev means close, then that means this will be you shall cause something to be close. You shall bring it near.
Mhm.
What shall you bring near? Et korbanchem, which again has the same root, the thing that you bring near, the sacrifice. Belonging to whom?
You.
You all, masculine plural.
That's right.
Good. Any comments or questions about this verse before we move on? Good job, Amanda. Who's going to read next? Hands up. All right, I'll read it. Im ola. I can divide it into syllables. Oop, with the small one. There we go. There we go. Im ola korbano min habakar zachar tamim yakrivenu el petach ohel moed יקריב אותו לרצונו לפני Adonai. All right, now that I've read it, does someone want to read it? No? Oh, wow. Need to figure out how to get you guys out of your shell. And
Can you like read it? Read it?
well, yeah, the first time all I require is reading through it, and then we'll follow along, and then I'll go through and read it after you. And then after that, we'll look for things in the text to discuss. That's the norm, I guess. Im ola. What is the root of ola?
A whole burnt offering.
That's what it means. But what's
Oh,
the
I'm
root?
sorry.
That's what it means. What's the root?
Go up. To go up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ayin.
Ayin.
Mohammed Yod.
Yod. Okay, very good. So the yod is missing here. Where did it go? It's a weak letter. It's not here. Instead of having olai, something like this, evidently that was too hard to pronounce, so Hebrew just dropped it off. Now it's just ola, and this is a vowel hey. Some of your older dictionaries will tell you the root is ein lamed hey. It's not. The hey is a vowel. It's not a consonant. It's not a root letter. Ein lamed yod, as one of you stated, means to ascend, go up. So why is this sacrifice related to going up? Well, because this particular sacrifice is completely burnt up and goes up in smoke. It's an ola offering. Now, there are several different kinds of offerings. You know, some people have this misconception that all your sacrifices are for sin. No. Thanksgiving offerings, peace offerings, there are sin offerings, there are ola offerings. There are the offerings that are required for the festivals. Which one?
Alms.
Free will offerings. Alms is usually giving money to somebody, so that falls into like charity, which is absolutely a biblically endorsed, if not commanded thing. So im ola, if it's an ola sacrifice, korbano. So we saw the word korban earlier, but now there's an O on the end. Why?
So, pronominal suffix.
Yeah, it tells us whose korban it is. It's
Yes.
his korban. So if his korban is an olah sacrifice, min habakar, from the bakar. Recently I did a little word study on this. I wondered if the verb livaker and the word boker are all related to bakar. And wait a second, livaker. There we go. What I found in the etymological dictionary is that they all have to do with dividing. Dividing what? Well, livaker originally means to critique or criticize something, distinguish, make a divide, make a distinction, difference between what's good or what's not good. Boker seems to be the dividing between the night and the day. Exactly. So what does a bakar have to do with dividing? Plowing. He divides the land. He cuts up the land. And it's like, really? All this time, these three words are related? Well, according to the dictionary, it says they are. So I don't know. Maybe it was his best guess. Zachar, if he's going to offer an olah from the herd, then it's like it's kind of a then statement here. If then. Zachar, a male. Tamim, which is from the root tav mem mem. Tam is like pure, simple, perfect. If we're talking about people, it could even mean naive, simple. But here it's talking about without blemish. Yakrivenu. Okay, yakriv, there's that he feel causative, make him come near by sending him up in smoke, I guess. What's enu? Enu sounds an awful lot like us. Like if something belongs to us, we would put a nu on the end. The only problem with that interpretation is that he is sacrificing us. Well, that doesn't make a lick of sense. He's not sacrificing us. He's sacrificing this guy over here. And so how can we distinguish what they're trying to say versus us? We have to look to that dagesh right there. The dagesh is telling us a letter is doubled, a letter is missing. Two noons are collapsed down into one. Why are there two noons? Because there was a letter there that assimilated and now is gone. That letter was a hey. So the noon is still a big question mark, but who refers to him? It should have been yakrivenhu. And we know how hey goes missing. Earlier we were talking about how la behema means to the animal rather than laha behema. What? The hay disappeared? Yep. In fact, in he feel, there should be a hay right here, but it's disappeared. Instead of yakriv, it just becomes yakriv. Yeah, hay disappears a lot. So it did here too. What is this noon? Nobody seems to have a clue. It's called an energic noon, energic, which is to add some kind of energy or certainty to the verb, at least historically. He shall certainly offer him, or something like that. El petach. What is a patach? That is, when you make the sound patach, that vowel, your mouth has to be open. So a petach is the opening. It's the doorway. The opening of ohel. A student of mine said he really doesn't like camping. So when he sees this word right here, he associates it with camping. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, hell no.
Opening of the tent of Moed. Like I said earlier, the root was originally Vav Ein Dalet, but if you want to look it up in the dictionary today, it will be under Yod Ein Dalet. A lot of those initial Vav verbs turned into initial Yod verbs in Hebrew. Yakriv oto, he shall offer him, lirtzono. Does anybody know the root of lirtzono? We can probably cut a few things away from this. What is lamed at the front?
That's a preposition.
To, for, belonging to, something like that. What is o?
Is.
That's pronominal suffix.
Good.
Yeah.
So far we have these two words. Well, I guess that one too. What's the root? Ratzon. Ratzon. Do you know the word ratza?
Is that the exit or go out? Or
That's yatsa.
that's
Yatsa.
yatsa.
And that's
Okay.
that would be spelled with a with an aleph at the end, yatsa, like Yitziat Mitzrayim, the going out from Egypt, the Exodus.
Yes.
Ratza means to want or desire. In modern Hebrew, I want, ani rotze, or a girl would say ani rotza. It comes from the root resh tzadi
Yod.
yod. Exactly. Missing yod. How do we know there's a yod there? Well, because in other forms the yod shows up. If I wanted something, it would be ratziti. There's your root, resh tzadi yod, but it's a weak letter, so sometimes it goes missing. He wanted something, ratza. I wanted something, ratziti. Lifnei Adonai. So ratzon is his will, voluntary will. Lifnei, to the face of Adonai, the Lord. All right. Comments, questions before we move on to the next one?
Yes. Could you talk about Oto?
Mhm.
I know that the O is his. I'm sorry, the
You're right.
suffix is
Yeah.
his.
Mhm.
And I see this word a lot, but I'm not really sure what's going on.
Okay. All right. So let's I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to explain it 100% to your liking, but I'll give you as much as I can. The simple non-suffixed form of oto is et, the direct object marker.
Okay.
Whenever it shows up with a pronominal suffix, it turns into an O vowel here. Fine and
Mhm.
well. There's another word et, looks identical in the absolute form, but instead of being the direct object marker, it means with.
hmm
They are, I don't know if they're related. I would assume they are, but I have good reason to believe they're not. That's where I'm kind of iffy on the whole issue. But when the word with gets a suffix, it gets a different vowel, and it also gets a strong dagesh. Ito, like this.
Mm.
All right, so this is whenever you see an et, you have to wonder, wait, is it the direct object marker et, or is it the preposition with et? But if it shows up with a suffix, you know exactly which one it is. Okay, any other comments or questions? Who wants to read next? Look, it's a little bit itty bitty short verse. I'll give 2 gold stars to anyone who reads.
Oh, for that?
All right, there you go, Christine. Go ahead.
Vesamach yado al rosh haolah venir sa lo lechaper alav.
Very good. Excellent. Perfect. Vesamach. Did you know this is the word after which we get samich?
I
The
didn't.
letter samach comes from the root samach. Okay, anyway, Let me read through it one time and then we'll get into the details. V'samach yado al rosh ha'olah v'nirtza lo lechaper alav. And again, we don't pronounce that anymore, even though historically we probably did. Historically, it would have been something more like alehu. Then the hey went missing, and then the au becomes av. Really a sordid history, but it is what it is. Yeah, samach is to lean or trust or put your hands on something, to press or lean against something. And that's what the letter samach is named after. Ves samach, is it a vekatal? We can tell from the translation that it is.
Yeah.
But we could also tell from the context, because we started out with, okay, if somebody wants to bring an offering, then he shall do da 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 da. So it wouldn't make sense to all of a sudden get a katal verb and then he did something. It's like, what? No, that's not what we were talking about. So the context demands it be a future tense and therefore a vekatal. Hebrew is extremely context dependent. What shall he samach? He shall samach yado, his yad, his hand. Where? Al, upon. Did you know this comes from the same root as that? And from the same root as that? But only in this word do we get to see that missing yod. Everywhere else it went missing.
Huh. I don't think I knew that.
Now you know. So al
show up like that. Wow.
al means like on something with the idea of over, above it.
Yeah.
So al rosh, on, upon the head of ha'olah, the ascending offering. V'nirtza. Hey, we just talked about this one. What's the root?
Resh,
Ratzi.
Sadi, and Yod.
Very good. But now there's a noon in front of it.
That's a
What
nifal.
does nifal mean? What does it mean for this verb to be a nifal? Besides the fact that it has a noon at the front.
Passive.
Passive. So now instead of somebody wanting, it's now passive. It is wanted, which here the translator gave us accepted. I like it. Is this a vekatal vav? If anyone knows, shout it out.
I don't think so.
It has to be.
Oh,
It has
yeah,
to be
I
because
think
of the
it is.
context.
definitely.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't make sense that we're saying someone shall do this, shall do that, and then all of a sudden, and it was accepted. It's like, what? That doesn't make sense. So v'nirtza, and it shall be. Now, is there any way, just by looking at this word alone and nothing else, is there any way I can tell that this is a vekatal? No. If I saw this outside of its natural environment, just sitting there all by its lonesome, I wouldn't know which one it is.
Okay.
I wouldn't know if it's a katal with the word and in front of it, or if it's a vekatal that has a future or incompleted tense to it. And that's frustrating. But that's what we have to deal with. V'nirtza, and he shall be accepted. That's a 3ms form. But wait, it has a feminine hey at the end, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Think about
Nope.
bana. Bana means he built. Remember, originally this should have been banai, like this. Think about some other strong verb that doesn't have a weak letter in it, like shamar, and then change out the letters for what you know the actual root to be. What do you get? Banai. Well, this I is the problem that historically was fixed by lopping off the yod. Ah. Well, wait, now we have a hanging vowel. That's where a mater lectionis hey is going to represent that final ah sound. Ah, okay, so it has nothing to do with the feminine. Indeed, the feminine hey, what we think of as a feminine hey, historically was a tav. So think of a like a susa, Look, that's a feminine hey at the end, right? I think so, but historically it was susat. And we were lazy and stopped pronouncing the t at the end of the word, and that became susa. But if you add a pronominal suffix to the end, guess what? Tav will come back. How do you say his female horse?
Susato.
Susato. Absolutely.
Duh.
Susato. And there are plenty of words that retain that feminine tav. Think of words like emet, koret. Emet means truth. Koret means she is calling or reading. You know, those are feminine tavs where the tav was retained. Or what about malchut? There's the feminine tav. The problem is that a lot of those feminine tavs at especially if there's a long vowel preceding them, that's where they went missing. So instead of a malkat, this, which is a queen, we got lazy and we called it a malka. But how do you say their queen? Well, if you're going to add a pronominal suffix, the tav comes back. How do you say their queen?
Malkatam.
Malkatam. Malkatam. Their queen. Lo, that's going to be 2 or 4. Him. Lechaper. What is Yom Kippur?
Kippur. Kippur.
Well,
Yep.
it's not Kippa. That's a different root. Kippa, the root of, what is it? The root Kippa.
And the 4 hours ago, nowhere and try to stop that.
The root for Kippa is, gosh, I'm trying to remember what the root is. I know it means something like curved, like we'll get to see palm branches in the Bible, their shape is using the same root as kippah, like curved, and that's the root of the word kippah. What we're looking at here is kafar, which means to cover something, which ironically a kippah covers someone's head, but that's a different root. When Noah tarred the ark, he covered it, he covered it with pitch, whatever that is. So it's the same root, to cover over something. Well, Yom Kippur is the day of covering over the sin. And I don't know if this is accurate, but somebody told me that the King Jimmy translators made up a word at one meant. Maybe it's just a sermon explanation, like the word atonement is making at one those that were not at one. It's like I don't know. Good. So to atone or cover, alav, over him, over his transgressions, his sins, his whatever, to cover over him, which gives him, I don't know, kind of like an entry ticket into the presence of God or something like that. All right, comments, questions on this verse before we move on to the next one? All right, which of you wants to read?
By the way, I'll always read if nobody wants to read, but I already read, so.
Then read. Nobody's raising their hand. Go ahead.
Okay. Veshachat et ben habakar lifnei Adonai vehikrevu bnei Aharon hakorhanim et hadam vezarku et hadam al hamizbeach saviv asher petach ohel moed.
Excellent. Only this guy right here. I'm wondering if it's your accent. I heard an R in there.
Hakohenim. Hanem.
Yeah, so that's an right there. Hakohanim. Excellent. I'll read it through one time. Veshachat et ben habakar lifnei Adonai vehikrivu bnei Aharon hakohanim et hadam וזרקו את הדם על המזבח סביב אשר פתח אוהל מועד. Does anybody know the Yiddish word a shochet? No? Okay. A shochet is a can I say butcher? It's a ritual slaughterer for kosher meats. So here, shachat, the root has to do with like slaying for a I guess in a ceremonial, not a ceremonial way, but a kosher way, I guess. Veshachat, and he shall slaughter. Et ben habakar. There's our direct object marker. The ben, the son, the male offspring of the bull. Remember earlier it said if you're going to bring a sacrifice, it needs to be a male, a zachar, an unblemished one, tamim. So that's why it's here again, just to make sure nobody forgot. Lifnei Adonai, before the face of the Lord. Panei is the root. Vehikrivu. Wait, how do I know that the stress goes here over the resh? What indication is there? None. Usually the cantillation mark will tell me where the stress is. This one can't be telling me where the stress goes. Why not? Well, because every Hebrew word has either final stress, last syllable, or second to last, penultimate. And this is way over here. Turns out this cantillation mark is always at the beginning of the word. And there are some cantillation marks which are always at the end of the word. They don't actually tell you where the stress is. They tell you how to sing it. They tell you how important the word is for syntax, meaning whether there's a comma, but they don't tell you where the stress is. So how do I know that the stress goes here? Well, because it's a he feel, and in he feel that chirik yod gets the stress. All right, hiktil, hiktila, hiktalnu. The stress always goes right there. And they shall cause to come near. Bnei Aharon, the sons of Aaron shall. Hakohanim. What kind of word is kohen? I know it means priest, but what kind of a word is it? With that o-e,
Participle?
Exactly. If it has an o-e, that makes it a participle, masculine, singular participle, which in any other context, we would translate as ing, an ongoing action. Good. So what's the root kaf he nun mean?
Priest.
It actually means to minister.
Yeah.
So the one who is ministering is the literal translation of kohen, but in our colloquial language, kohen comes to be the name of the guy that does all the ministering. So the priest. I might have mentioned it before. There's a place in the Bible where some of David's sons are called kohanim. Are they priests? They're the wrong lineage. They have to be Levites. David is from Judah. There's no way that his sons can be priests, but they can be kohanim in the sense that they are governmental ministers. They shall cause to bring et hadam, the blood. V'zaraku, in modern Hebrew, if you're going to throw something in the trash, you zarak lapach. Well, here in the biblical context, zarak is to splash, to sprinkle, to splatter. Et hadam, the blood. Al hamizbeach. What's the root zain bet chet? Slaughter. Kill. It's kind of a synonym with this up here. So the mizbeach is the place of slaughtering, the slaughter place, which in our language sounds better with the word altar, doesn't sound so messy. Hamizbeach, the altar, saviv, around. Asher, the one that is petach ohel moed. Wait, where's the verb? It's not there. It's assumed. We have to supply it as the translator. Which mizbeach, the one that is near at the opening of the tent of meeting. Comments, questions? We've got an itty bitty verse. Who wants to read an itty bitty verse?
I'll read it.
Go ahead, Angela.
Vayif sheet.
Vehifshit.
Vayif sheet et ahola.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to put that there. Ha'ola.
Ahola. Vayvita.
That's a nun.
Oh, venita.
Venitach.
Venitak. Ota. Live. Oh, Lin. Lin. Ta. A.
Not trying to pick on you, but I know you have trouble with the gutturals. The chet and the hey and the aleph and the ayin. This word is lin tacheha. Lin tacheha. Very good. Excellent. Let me read through one time. Carolina, I did see your hand up earlier. I'll have you read the next verse. Vehifshit et ha'ola venitach otah lintacheha. Do these two words have the same root?
Yes.
In modern Hebrew, if someone goes in for surgery, they're going in for a nituach. They're going in to get cut. Well, biblically speaking, yeah, to cut something up, and in modern Hebrew nituach, they're related, but a linnateach in the PL, actually that's PL too. Venitach. Wow, never mind. In modern Hebrew, the linnateach means to operate on somebody. Operate. Does anybody know the word pashat or pashut? Pashat means something simple. Well, pashut means something simple. Pashat is the simple explanation. It's used especially when talking about interpreting the Bible. You know, what's the pashat? What's the simple understanding? There are multiple means of tools. Can I call them tools? No, modes of interpretation that are represented by the letters pardes. Has anyone heard of these before? Pardes. Pardes is the Hebrew word, which is actually a Persian loan word, which means paradise. It's where we get the word paradise. Well, kind of. We get it from this word, but paradise doesn't mean paradise. It means orchard. Okay. So an orchard, a paradise, a place where fruit grows on the trees and you can relax and enjoy. It's like Garden of Eden, right? All right. So the pashut is represented by this pay, the simple understanding of the text, the straightforward meaning of the text. The next level of interpretation of the scriptures, after we've done the pashut, is called remez. remez. I should probably be writing this out. So we've got the pashut, which is the simple, straightforward. Remez. Remez means a hint, or yeah, like a hinting at something. Maybe there's an allusion towards something else that isn't literal, but anyone with half a brain can see that it's pointing to something else. Well, that's the remez, the hinting. The next level is drash. Has anybody heard of the word midrash before? Midrash? Really?
Midrash, yes. Isn't
Yeah,
that what?
midrash.
Yeah.
That's the commentary on the Torah.
Yeah, it's kind of like rabbinic sermons or something like that. The midrash, there are lots of different midrash volumes or rabbinic literature which is considered midrash. The biggest one is called Midrash Rabbah, the most well-known one probably. And what it does is it connects otherwise unrelated verses that have the same word or phrase so that you can derive some new information on a text that you're trying to interpret. For example, Ezer Kenegdo in Genesis, the woman is called the Ezer Kenegdo. Well, what does that mean? Well, what we can do is find somewhere else in the Bible where Ezer Kenegdo, or even Ezer, or even the word Kenegdo is used in the Bible, and then bring those two texts together to enlighten to elucidate the meaning of that passage a little bit. That is the principle of midrash. The root darash means to seek. So you're trying to wring out the meaning of the text, get every ounce of understanding you can out of the text. That's the drash. You're trying to hash it out to understand it better. It's something a little bit harder to get than the remez is. And then the last one is sod. Sod is the secret. It's it's more like the mystical interpretation of the scriptures, the secret meaning behind the text. All right. So pashat is related to that pay, and here it's in the he feel. You shall make something simple. Well, kind of. You shall lay it out, which they translate here as flay it. Cut it in the middle, make it lay out so it's nice and flat, simple. This is also the root that's used for someone disrobing. You just imagine like the clothes laying out flat on the floor. It's like, oh, that's to disrobe. It's the same root, to make simple. Vehifshit, so get rid of all the outside stuff. Et ha'olah, the burnt offering. Venitach, and he shall cut. Otah, direct object marker, her. Her, because olah is feminine. Lintacheha, into her pieces, her cuttings, her pieces. The yod here is what tells me that it's plural. All right, comments or questions on this short one before we move on? Caroline, would you like to read?
V'natnu b'nei Aharon hakohen esh al hamizbeach v'arku etzim al ha'esh.
Perfect. V'natnu b'nei Aharon hakohen esh al hamizbeach ve'arechu etzim al ha'esh. I'm looking for something challenging here, and I can't find it. What does the u at the end of v'natanu and ve'arechu mean?
And
Supposed to be them.
Right. So the vav at the beginning could be translated as and. The one at the end says they are the subject. That's right. They are the subject of the verb natan. Well, natan means give. They gave, yes. And then the vav at the beginning converts the verb to an incompleted future. And they shall give, put, set, place. Who? Bnei Aharon. Ah, because Bnei Aharon is plural, that's why the verb is plural. And they, the sons of Aaron, shall put place. Aaron who? HaKohen. So that actually goes with this. What shall they place? Esh. Fire. Al hamizbeach. Upon the slaughter place, the altar. Ve'arechu. Arach means to arrange something. So they shall arrange. They say they shall set in order. Eitzim. Eitz is a tree or wood or lumber, depending on the context. And here it's plural. So some translations will say the pieces of wood. Al ha'esh, upon the fire. What gender is esh?
Feminine.
I'm asking, so it must be extraordinary. Yeah, it's an irregular. It's feminine. It's an irregular feminine. All right, questions on the previous verse? On this verse here? Okay. Who would like to read next?
I'll try again. I do need to practice.
Okay.
They are who?
Mhm.
Bnei Aharon. Sorry, I can't see what is it. Ako nim. Oh, Ako
That's right.
nim. Yeah. Et an takim
Ha-nitachim.
anatakim et arosh ve'et afader
Ha-pader.
apader al ahesim
Ha-etzim.
aetzim asher al aesh asher al mis beak
Right, exactly. Ha-mizbeach.
Mizbeach.
Very good. Ve'arechu. And he shall arrange. I'm sorry, they shall arrange. Bnei Aharon HaKohen, the sons of Aaron the priest, they shall arrange et ha-nitachim, the cut up pieces. Et harosh, they shall also place the head. Ve'et hapader. Here it's being translated as fat. I will be perfectly honest, this is not a common word. I am not terribly familiar with it. The absolute form is probably peder. And here we're seeing it in pausal form, pader. What's the pausal form of melech?
Malech.
Malech, exactly. What's the, think of another one. What's the pausal form of beten?
Baten.
Baten. Well, maybe. So there's an original vowel here that we don't get to see anymore. And in pausal form, that's when it reappears. So if I want to say his king, that vowel shows up. Well, it actually takes a shorter form because it's now in an unstressed syllable, but I digress. Mal ko. Malko, his king. Malech preserves that a vowel also because it's stressed, it can take a long form. When it's unstressed, it takes the short form. Instead of kamatz, it becomes patach, but they're both a. Malko. And let's see. Al ha'etzim, upon the wood, tree, lumber. Asher, which is al ha'esh, upon the fire. Asher al hamizbeach, the fire which is on the altar. All right. Comments, questions? Who's next? Amanda? Up. Abdelaziz, you want to read? Go ahead. Then Amanda gets the next one. Turn your mic on so we can hear you. There you go.
يربو وكرعاف يرحط بمايم وهكتير حكوهن اتهكل همزبيحة علا إشي ريح نحوحة ليهفاه.
Very good. Let's see. Vekirbo uchra'av yirchatz bamayim vehiktir hakohen et hakol hamizbeach. Excuse me. Hamizbecha. Ola ishe reach nichoach ladonai. This, well, let me go ahead and translate real quick. Vekirbo. Here we get the word kerev with its original vowel, chirik. So not all of those segolets that are are originally a. Some of them are like this one. Vekirbo. It's karov. It's close innards. Uchra'av. Kra'av are like chicken thighs are kir'ayim. So same root, has to do with the legs or the thighs or something like that. Yirchatz, he shall rachatz, wash, bamayim, in the water. Vehiktir, uftetresh is to turn something into smoke like incense. So cause to go up in smoke. Who? The Kohen shall cause to go up in smoke. Et hakol. Everything. Hamizbecha. Wait a second. We know the word hamizbeach, the altar. What's the hay at the end? Hamizbecha.
Directional.
Directional. To, towards, onto the altar. Did you know there's a difference in English between on and onto, or up and upon, or in and into? These are stationary. These imply motion. The book is in the bag, but I put the book into the bag. The book is on the table, but I put the book onto the table or upon something. And so this right here should have denoted that motion with something like onto the altar. Motion. Ola, the complete burnt offering, ascending offering. Ishe, a fire offering. Reach nichoach. What is ruach? Not the word reach.
Spirit.
What's the word
Spirit.
ruach? It's
Spirit.
either wind, it's
Spirit?
either wind, breath, or spirit. Now,
Spirit.
spirit's a little bit harder to define, but originally ruach is either wind or breath. It's an invisible force. And that's where we get the idea of spirit, something you can't see, but you see the results of it. A reach is a smell, something that blows by and you go, oh, there it is. Nichoach is a delightful one. So a delightful smell, ladonai. And I have a family member that says, the Bible really points out that God likes a good barbecue. It's you're cooking these, this animal, and it's a sweet or sweet. I don't know. That's a good one. A pleasant smell unto the Lord. I don't know that sweet is really a good translation there. Usually when you think of sweet, you should think of like matok. Matok is sweet. Okay, questions? Go ahead, Tim.
Yes. So when you were showing those examples on, onto, in, into, it appears to be moving from present into future, an action. Is that correct? Can you paint that way?
No, because I can put. I don't think so. It has to do with motion as opposed to stationary. I could. Yesterday I put the book into the bag. Today I'm putting the book into the bag. Tomorrow I will put those. That's changing your tense. The difference is that it shows the motion, as opposed to something stationary.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what we would use to capture that directional hey in the Hebrew.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Would you like to read, Tim? Wait a second. No, I promised it to Amanda. Amanda, this is yours to read after that, maybe, Tim?
My head
Be-
scrambled for a variety of reasons.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead, Amanda.
Be'im min hatzon karavano min hak ha hakeshavim o min haotzim leola zachar tamim yikravu yikravenu
Try again.
yikri. Oh, that's an
Tata.
Yakrivenu.
Yakrivenu. Very good.
Yakrivenu.
At the beginning of the book, we were reading about if someone is going to make a sacrifice from the bakar, from the cattle. Now we're transitioning over to, well, if he chooses a different animal, a different kind of animal, that's where this verse is. That's what this verse here bespeaks. Let me read through one time. Ve'im min hatzon korbano min haksavim o min ha'ezim le'ola zachar tamim yakrivenu. All right, so it looks like the stipulations are still the same. It's going to be a zachar, it's going to be tamim, but now instead of bakar, we're looking at tzon, kvasim, izim. What is the difference between these three words?
They're smaller.
They are smaller, yeah. They're smaller animals. Tzon,
Domesticated? No.
correct. So all of the sacrifices have to be some sort of domesticated farm animal. It's not like we can go find a deer in the woods and then take that to be slaughtered at the temple. I mean, it's kosher, it's a clean animal, but if you're going to bring a sacrifice, well, it has to come from your means. You can't just take it from the woods and then go sacrifice it. Here, God, I brought you something that doesn't belong to me. There's no, think about the word sacrifice, how we use it in English today. It's like, oh, I made a big sacrifice by doing that really hard thing. Is it a sacrifice to go grab a deer from the woods and bring it to the temple?
No.
So
No.
they're all going to be domesticated farm animals. We talked about the big one, the bakar, Now we're looking at the smaller ones, hatzon. Now, hatzon is a catch-all for sheep and goats. Sheep are the dumb ones, goats are the hard-headed ones, the stubborn ones, whatever. But they're both going to be called a zon because they both flock. They run around in a flock, if you want to put it that way. Okay. Kvasim izim. Is this masculine or feminine?
It's masculine because is a male goat, isn't it?
All right. So obviously they say if we're going to take an animal from this group or from this group, then it has to be a male. But an ez is usually referring to a female goat. An ayal or an ayil is one of the words for a masculine goat. There are other words. What's the other one? Sa'ir is also a word for a masculine goat. So the question I have is, well, wait a second. If we're going to grab from this group, it's got to be a male. Doesn't that imply this has to be a male? Well, maybe not. What if it's from among the mothers? I don't know. All I know is that in Hebrew, ez is usually used for a female goat. So izim, it's an irregular plural. It's an irregular, I said irregular plural, an irregular gendered noun. Does anybody know what a hamor is? Ee-aw, ee-aw.
Donkey.
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
Uh-huh. What is an aton?
Is that a female?
Ee-aw, ee-aw.
Still a donkey.
That's good. Okay,
So this
female.
is the male donkey and this is the female donkey. Aton, does that look female to you?
No.
No,
Yeah.
it's an irregular. Atonot does have the ot plural, feminine looking plural ending, but aton doesn't look it. There are lots of words which seem to be unrelated to the masculine form, which relate to the female of that species. But we do that in English a lot too. What's the difference between a hog and a sow? Or a dog and well, I'm not going to say that one. A boar and what's the other one? Not a boar. That's not what I'm trying to say. Like a bull and a cow.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other examples and then they're failing me. But the point is, a lot of languages have multiple words for the masculine and the feminine. Well, so does Hebrew. So ez is usually the feminine goat. But if you're going to bring something as an olah, it has to be a zachar. What's the verb zachar?
Remember.
Remember.
What does zachar male have to do with zachar remember?
I don't know, because males have a hard time remembering.
I know, geez, right? Both of these come from the same root, and unfortunately, it's a little R-rated. Zachar means to pierce. However you spell pierce. I guess it's E-I, whatever. I can't remember which way it's spelled. So if you remember something and it pierces your mind, you're like, I remember. Or if you're a male and that males pierce, that's why they're related. So you'll probably never forget that verb again.
Oh, wow.
Tamim, perfect, blemishless, even naive. Did you know that not Isaac, Jacob is called an Ishtam? Ishtam. I think there's a yod in it. Ishtam. This tam right here is the same root as tamim right there. Same root. And what is it translated as? Well, either simple man, righteous man, uncomplicated man, possibly even naive. Yakrivenu. We already talked about the enu, so we don't have to do that again. He shall bring or cause it to come. It, him, the zachar. Masculine singular. Okay, comments, questions? Who would like to read next?
I guess I'll read.
All right, go ahead, Christine.
Veshachat oto al yerech hamitzbecha sapona. No, Safona. Safona lifne Adonai vesareku raku vesarku.
How do you read this word?
I know, zebra.
So use that z sound.
Like I have a learning disorder with the Saudi.
Okay. But it's not a tzadi.
It's not a Saudi. See, now I'm doing it like it's a.
See, up here you read the tzadi just fine.
See, now I've lost what I learned there because I concentrate on the Saudi and now I lost my
Okay.
Zion. Okay.
Well then, how about this? How do you read that?
Visareku.
No, vizareku.
Visareku.
That's it. That's this word right here. Vizareku. All right, keep going.
Bene. Aharon hakohenim et damo
Mhm.
al hamitzbeha. Did I do it again?
Yeah. Hamizbeach.
It's bear.
What sound does a B make?
A B or a Z?
No, a B.
B is a B.
No. I'm asking a little bumblebee. What sound does it make?
Oh,
Zzz, exactly. So hamiz.
Hamizbeha.
And then that's the furtive patach. So it's
Yeah.
pronounced before the chet. Hamizbeach. Last word.
Oh, Saviv.
Saviv. All right, let me read through one time. Veshachat oto al yerech hamizbeach tzafona lifnei Adonai. V'zareku bnei Aharon hakohanim et damo al hamizbeach saviv. All right, we already talked about shachat, and he shall slaughter, slay, kill. Oto, it, the flock animal. Al yerech hamizbeach. Yirkayim is different than what we saw. It's a different part of the body. The yerech is like the. You know what? I wonder if the yirkayim, if that's the word for thighs. No, that's motnaim. Anyway, so this is also a part. Like I'm thinking, parts of a chicken. Yirkayim. Yerech here is translated as the side of Hamizbeach, the altar. Not that the Mizbeach has a body part called a Yerech, but people and animals have a Yerech, and it refers to the side of someone. So, okay, Yerech. Tzafon. Here we get our directional hay. Tzafon, north. Tzafona, towards the north or northward. Lifnei Adonai, before the Lord. V'zaraku, we talked about this already, and they shall sprinkle because of the u. Who? Bnei Aharon hakohanim, the sons of Aaron, the priests. What shall they sprinkle? Et damo, his or its blood, al hamizbeach, on the altar, saviv, around. Okay, comments?
I was just going to say, you did the zebra. We call it zebra, not zebra. So I would have got that word wrong anyway. Because in England and American pronunciation is different. So you know you did the zebra and you said, how do you pronounce that? And you said zebra. That's not how we don't call it zebra. We call it zebra. I'm just saying that may be why sometimes I have some difficulties with the different words.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Look, we all have these challenges, and we all have to figure out what each of our idiosyncrasies is, what each of our problems is, and guess what? Everybody's got a little different one, and I want to be helpful in any way I can to help you all read better. So if there's anything, just let me know.
Yeah, we're all reading our programming. We're having to override.
Exactly.
Having to override our
Exactly.
systems.
Exactly. Having to reprogram. Wait a second. Did we Saviv? Oh, this is the one we've already read. All right. Who's reading next?
I'll go again. Vayyiqra.
Venitach.
Vayyiqra. Why am I suddenly start getting the noon wrong? Vayyiqra and Oto. Linta. 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 Have.
Right.
Have.
Chav.
Have.
Lintachav.
Linta have. Vayet. Rosh. Jo. Vayet. Pidro. Isn't it Pidro?
It is. It is. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
earlier. I was pointing out the pausal form pader,
Oh,
and here it
okay.
shows up with a chirik. Sorry, that's something that I find interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to hold up the whole class about it.
Okay.
Pedro.
And they are rock
Mhm.
and Akoen, Otam,
Otam.
Ao, Ahezim,
Ha'etzim.
Aetzim, Asher, Ao, Ahesh, Asher, Ao, Amitz, Beak,
Hamizbeach.
Amiz, Beak.
Very good. All right. So I'm noticing that we're getting a lot of repeat with the vocabulary. So I don't want to spend as much time going through word by word unless somebody has a question or comment about it. So after each verse, I'll give a couple seconds to offer someone to ask a question. Otherwise, we'll read one after the other after the other. I mean, let's get good at reading, shall we? Questions on this? All right. Please put your hands up if you want to read. Okay, go ahead, Caroline. After that, Irish.
Vaha Kerev, Vaha Karaim, Karaim,
Very good. Uh-huh.
Yira
Hakra'ayim.
Yirakat Bamayim, Yirakat Bamayim, Bamayim, Vahikriv, Hakohen, et Hakol, Vahiktir, Hamizbeach.
Not quite.
Hamizbeach. Oh gosh, I've got it set in my head one way.
I know. That's okay.
Hamizbecha.
Yeah, this is that directional hey we mentioned earlier, towards, onto.
Mm.
All right, Hamizbecha. Keep going.
Olahu, who Ishe,
Mm-hmm.
Reach, ni, 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 Nicholach,
That's right.
La Adonai.
Very good. Vehakerev vehakra'ayim yirchatz b'mayim vehikriv hakohen et hakol vehiktir hamizbecha ola hu ishe reach nichoach ladonai. Okay, comment if anyone has comments or questions about the reading, simply turn your mic on and ask, because we have some other people up with hands up ready to read. And if not, then let's move on. Irish, this one's for you.
Okay. Ve'im min ha'of hola korbanu la Adonai vehikriv min hatorim. What's this?
What's that?
Oh,
It's just exactly. Oh,
min binei hayona et korbanu.
very good. Ve'im min ha'of. So earlier we were talking about cattle, then we're talking about the smaller flock animals. Now we're talking about birds. Ve'im min ha'of, and if it's from the birds, ola korbano ladonai vehikriv min hatorim o min bnei hayona et korbano. Who is Yonah in the Bible?
Jonah.
His name means either dove or pigeon. Dove sounds better.
Oh, yeah. The flood. The flood.
No. I'm sorry. Did I say Noah? I meant Jonah. Did I say Noah?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Did I say Noah? I'm so sorry. Noah means rest. Jonah means dove. All right, Amanda, this one's for you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course. What's the question?
Where is it? It's gone.
Here?
And why is the cantillation mark under O have the other Eric? We didn't pronounce the Eric.
It's because it's not a Hirik.
Okay.
It's very frustrating, but there are two different cantillation marks, one that does not have a dot in it and one that does. The name of it, I would have to look that up to tell you, but yes, this is a cantillation mark. It is not a Hirik.
Okay,
So
'cause
frustrating.
Yeah,
We saw one earlier where there was a tsere and then this cantillation mark next to it. And it's like, why do I have two different vowels? Here's a tsere, here's a chirik. No. That's your cantillation mark.
right. Okay.
So if so, then here's your vowel right there, the O, nothing underneath the aleph. Okay, further questions? Amanda, this one's for you.
Vehikribu ha-kohen el ha-mizbeach umalach et rosho vehiktir ha-mizbecha venametza damo al kir ha-mizbeach.
Good. Only this word right here. Can you read that again, please?
Venimtza.
Venimtza. Very good.
Venimtza.
Vehikrivo hakohen el hamizbeach umalak et rosho vehiktir hamizbecha venimtza damo al kir hamizbeach. All right, comments on this one? Thomas, would you like to read?
About conversation with Nickerson a few days after the murder.
Thomas, do you want to read?
Okay. Vehezir et murato
בנוצתה והשליך אותך אצל המזבח קדמה אל מקום הדשן.
Hadashin. All right. So remember,
Hadashin.
this right here is going to be pronounced like an eset.
Ve'esir.
Vehesir.
Ve'hetsir.
Not hetsir, but hesir.
Ve'hetsir.
That's it. Vehesir et mur'ato benotzatah vehishlich otah etzel hamizbeach kedma el makom hadashen. All right, so kedma. What's the absolute form of this word kedma?
Kedem.
Kedem. Exactly. What direction is kedem?
Eastward.
Where the ancients are from.
Ancient, west.
Exactly. So east or the ancient, they both come from the word kedem, and there's your directional hey again, towards the east. And here the word deshen is showing up in pausal form, dashen, the ashes. So apparently the place where the ashes go is on the east side of the altar. And what is the root of the word vehesir?
Hesed? Oh, no.
Not chesed. What is chesed?
Is grace or goodness.
Compassion.
Maybe loving kindness or covenant loyalty, something. It's really awesome. Here the hey is part of the verb. It's part of the structure of the verb. It's a he-feel verb. So what's the root? Well, we see the samech. We see the resh. The yod, if it's he-feel, that's a he-feel yod. So what's missing here?
Is there another resh?
No, it's a vav.
Vav.
So this is a category of verbs. When you get a vav or a yod in the middle, this is an entire category of verbs let me put it this way, of weak roots where that vav or yod will sometimes go missing. We talked about roots that have yod at the end and the yod goes missing. We talked about roots that have a noon and the noon goes missing. Well, here's another category. If you get a vav or a yod in the middle, sometimes it'll go missing. Why? Well, because vavs and yods historically acted more like vowels than they did consonants, right? Vavs were a W, w sound, which is more like a vowel than a consonant. And yods are a y sound, which again is more like a vowel, a diphthong or triphthong vowel than it is a consonant. Because they are liquid letters, because they are pseudo consonants, they're more like vowels. That's why we get trouble with them. Yod, vav, and nun. All right, so what is the root sur? To turn, to go off to the right or left. You know, like when the Bible says, you shall not turn or veer to the right or the left of the command that I give you. It uses sur. Here, hesir is causing something to veer off to the right or left. And unfortunately, it's his crop with its feathers that's turning off to the side, which they translate as pluck away or tear away or something like that. Kind of graphic, but that's Hebrew. Why does this have a shva instead of a kamatz like we should expect? Right? The word for a place is makom.
This is the place.
It's a construct.
Okay, it is a construct.
Mekom
Construct with the next one. Because it's in construct, we're going to rush that first word to get to the accented syllable, which means long vowels go shorter.
Yeah.
Makom becomes makom hadashin. We're going to rush it.
Hadah.
Makom hadashin. Very, 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 very short. All right. And let's see. Paulina, would you like to read?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Veshita Oto Vikna Bao Lo Avedi Vayyiqra Oto HaKohen HaMizbecha Ar Ha'ezim Aseh Ar Hazesh Ola Hu Ishe Riach Ni Hoach Le La Adonai.
Good. La Adonai. Veshisa Oto Vichnafav Lo Yavdil Vehiktir Oto HaKohen HaMizbecha Al Ha'etzim Asher Al Ha'esh Olahu Ishe Reach Nichoach Ladonai. I have a theory about that word right there, but I'm not going to bring it up right now. What's the root? What's the apparent root of this word right here? Anybody?
Something's missing because of the let's see.
Something is doubled.
Yeah.
The samach is doubled. Now the question becomes, is that part of the structure of the verb, the structure of the word, or is it because there's a letter missing? Well, here, because of the chirik and the doubling dagesh, I think this is a PL, so the dagesh is part of the structure. The root appears to be shin samach ayin. And this dagesh is part of the structure of PL. Remember, PL, pual, and itpa'el always have a doubling, well, are supposed to have a doubling dagesh in them. Kanafayim are wings. So in, at, with, by his wings, and the yod tells us that it's plural. Lo, not yavdil. At the end of Shabbat, Sabbath, there's a ceremony called Havdalah, separating between the holy and the rest of the week. We also get to see this word used in the creation account when God separates between light and darkness. So making a separation. Here, severing completely. He shall not sever completely. Vehiktir, make it go up in smoke. Oto, it, hakohen, the priest, hamizbecha, onto, towards the altar, on the wood, aletzim asher al ha'esh, on the fire. Okay, I think we got it. We have gone over time, and my lovely daughter just showed me a whole platter full of hamantashen. Today is Purim, so everybody, if you can, celebrate Purim in whatever way you can or know how. Remember the story of Esther. Read through the story of Esther, especially in Hebrew if you can, and praise God for his salvation. Pray for salvation of God's people even today. If you enjoyed this lesson, consider supporting Hungry for Hebrew. I have gone over 10 minutes, terribly sorry, but I do have to scooch. I have to go. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, להתראות ושלום.
Thank you.
להתראות.
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 שלום. תודה.
Thanks, Jared.